You know, I got a great show lined up for you guys today. Today I'm going to talk about the type of spirit that you have to win. You know, there's a certain spirit that you have to develop about yourself. Because when you're trying to accomplish something worthwhile and you're trying to reach your goals, you're going to come up against so many brick walls that's going to be standing in your way. And those brick walls could be you. They could come from somebody else. They could just come from circumstances that's out of your control. But you're going to have to know how to deal with them. And there's a certain spirit that you have to have about yourself. And you have to be able to tap into these specific areas of your life in order to make it through those tough times. You see, your spirit is that fighter that you have inside you that gives you the willpower to go on even when you're facing tough times. And you have to develop a survivor spirit, a warrior spirit, the spirit of a hustler, and the spirit of a comedian. And you have to know when to tap into each one depending on the situation you're in. And I'm going to break down exactly what each one means and how to tap into them when you need them. Now, for the survivor spirit, you know, if you think of surviving, sometimes surviving means just hanging on. You know, making do with what you have until in the lean times, until more favorable times come along. You know, you may not be getting to where you want to be at this second. You might not be on the fast track to getting to where it is that you really want to be, but you're hanging on and you're not going under. You know, if you think of a person who's swimming, you know, you have those people that are swimming across and they're getting to where they want to be at a fast pace. And then you got those people who are just floating. But those people that are floating, they're hanging on. At least they're not drowning. So, you know, you have to develop that survivor spirit that even if you can't do anything right this second to move fast towards your goals, at least you're not drowning and going under or going backwards. You know, you're hanging on until you're in a position to do more about it. And that's where the hustler spirit comes in at. Being a hustler, it means more than surviving. It means going out and creating the conditions that you want for yourself. You know, this isn't waiting around. This isn't sitting in a swimming pool floating. This is swimming. This is action at hand. A hustler goes out and they see opportunity where other people see nothing. You know, a hustler can create something out of nothing. You know, many times what it takes to be a hustler just requires a change in perspective. You know, a simple change in perspective can turn a person who's just surviving into a person who's a true hustler. Because if you look at something like a straw that they give you for your soft drink when you go to a restaurant, many people look at it as just a straw. They look at it as something that you use to sip your drink. But a hustler is going to look at that same thing and they're going to see a business opportunity. They're going to look at that straw and be like, damn, this is somebody's business right here. This is somebody who profited from the plastic. You know, the manufacture of the plastic, the distribution of the straws. This is somebody's million or even $billion business that we're using right now. So where other people see a simple straw, a hustler sees it as a business opportunity. A hustler sees it as somebody who thought creatively, who took that plastic, made it into a utensil that people use on a daily basis, multiple times a day, and really built something out of it. So you have the plastic manufacturer, you have the distributor, you may have the wholesaler. So where a person sees a simple straw, the average person sees a simple straw. A hustler sees business. They see dollar signs. They see money. So a simple change in perspective is what separates the hustler from the average Joe. So you want to develop that hustler spirit about yourself, because it can mean the difference between just floating in a pool to swimming all the way across it. So you definitely want to develop the spirit of a hustler. Now, the spirit of a warrior is also what you want to develop. And that warrior spirit is that never back down spirit. You know, you never hear of a warrior running away from challenges. They stand and they face it. They either face it head on or they face it in a strategic, indirect way, but they face it. A warrior never runs away from a challenge that's posed to them. And you have to have that same spirit about yourself, because there's going to be so many challenges that come in your way when you're trying to accomplish something. And this show isn't just for entertainment and people for your listening pleasure. This show is lessons for people who are actually out there trying to accomplish something. And when you're trying to accomplish anything worthwhile, you're going to run into so many problems. You're going to run into so many people that's trying to pull you down or pull you in so many different directions that you lose focus of what it is that you want. But a warrior doesn't do that. They're focused on the mission at hand. A warrior is brave, they're strong, they train, they maintain their focus, and they know what their goal is, they know what their mission is, they know who their enemy is, and they face all of these things head on. They never run away from them. So you definitely want to develop the spirit of a warrior. You know, when times are hard, you want to know how to survive and not go under. That's why it's so important to have the survivor spirit. You know why it's important to have the hustler spirit. Now you know why it's important to have the warrior spirit. And when you combine these things, just imagine how far you can go. And last but not least is the comedian spirit. And the comedian spirit is so important because sometimes you just gotta laugh at things and people and situations, you know, to keep from getting mad or to keep from crying. You have to develop a sense of humor about yourself, and you have to be willing to laugh at yourself. You know, we all mess up, we all make mistakes, and it's important not to beat your fist or your head up against the wall getting frustrated, or when people come up with, when people come at you with all types of drama and all types of unnecessary things. Sometimes you just have to laugh it off. You know, the comedian Kevin Hart just did a stand-up called Laugh at My Pain. So he took the situations of his life that may have been painful or that were painful, and he made comedy out of it. And sometimes you just have to laugh at yourself and laugh at the situations, because if you don't, you're going to get so frustrated, you know, and humor is for the mind, and sanity, like oil is for a squeaky and rusty door hinge. It loosens it up and makes it function properly. So if you don't know how to laugh at yourself, I suggest you develop a comedian spirit, because you're going to come up against so many things that's going to make you mad or going to want to make you cry, that sometimes you just have to laugh at. You know, that's the only way to make it through, is just to laugh at situations and laugh at people and make humor out of it, so you don't get so frustrated. So you definitely want to develop that comedian spirit about yourself. And when all of these different spirits about yourself developed, there's nothing that could stop you. And you have to know when to tap into these things. You know, when it's time to be a warrior, you don't want to be a comedian. You want to face that. When it's time to be a hustler, you don't want to be in survivor spirit. You know, so you have to recognize the situation that you in and tap into the right spirit about yourself. When it's time to be a comedian, you don't want to be a warrior. You know, you don't want to have to fight when you can just easily laugh it off, because it's so petty that it's not even worth pursuing like that. So once you develop these spirits about yourself, learn when to tap into them and learn the appropriate time to use them. You don't want to be a comedian when it's time to be a warrior. You don't want to be a survivor when it's time to be a hustler, and vice versa. So make sure you develop these things about yourself. That has been today's episode of the Heirloom Radio Show. Thanks for joining me. Make sure you pick up a copy of my book, The Family Heirloom: Lessons on Life, Relationships, and Personal Development, available now at Amazon.com as well as BarnesandNoble.com. And I will see you guys next week. Oh, and I may start this thing about a book recommendation every week. I've read so many different books. I love to write, and I got so many books that I'm working on right now and lectures, but I read more than I write. So I may do a book recommendation every single week to sort of help you along, in books that help me and broaden my perspective. So I may be doing that, and I will have some blog posts up pretty soon as well, and some more video blogs. So make sure you check out my site, heirloomradioshow.com, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.